Town meeting day in Vermont is less than a month away. And today we're going to talk with Hilary Francis, the town clerk for the town of Brattleboro, about town meeting day and some of the things voters need to know about that event. So let's jump into it, Hilary. Uh, as I said, we're less than a month away. Why should this be important to Vermonters?
It's a good question, Elliot. Town meeting day is a very special date for Vermonters. It's a chance for us to get to elect our decision makers, our local decision makers, I should say, as well as voting on local issues that impact us every day here in Vermont.
The situation with town meeting day is going to be a little different this year, but let's go over some of the basics that are kind of true for everybody in the state, whether they're new or old. And let's start with the new person. I'm brand new to the town of Brattleboro or the town of Dummerston or Guilford or wherever. What do I need to do to register to vote?
It's actually really easy. So the way that we recommend right now, because of the pandemic, which is always an option, is doing it online. If you go to OLVR as an online voter registration .vermont.gov, and Vermont is spelled out, you can register to vote there. Um, Alternatively, if you do not have access to the internet, you can give your town clerk a call or an email. And in Brattleboro, I should say I'm only speaking for Brattleboro. We will certainly work with you to mail you the registration forms, or meet you in our parking lot to get you the forms. And finally, if you are interested in registering to vote, or if you're interested in voting in person on election day, you can certainly come to the polls on election day and register to vote there. If you're a first time Vermont voter, you will need some sort of ID. You'll need to know your Vermont driver's license number or the last four digits of your social security number, or you'll need to show us proof of that if you're registering beforehand and not in person. And you'll need to take the voter's oath.
So basically, the process is not really complicated. It's pretty much user friendly, whether you do it online or whether you make your request by telephone. And throughout this program, we'll be displaying the contact website with the state of Vermont, as well as the phone numbers for the southeastern Vermont towns so that people can contact their town clerks, or if they need to contact even the Secretary of State's office, that information is going to be out there. When's the last day that I can register to vote if I'm new?
So in Vermont, we have same day voter registration. If you're planning on voting at the polls, you can certainly register that day. If you're planning on voting absentee, I would recommend registering at least a week in advance so we have time to get you your ballot and you have time to return it to us. However, I would recommend register now. There's no reason to wait. Register now, and that way there's no questions and no rush or stress about getting your ballot in time.
Now, this is going to be a bit different from those who voted in August in the state primary and in the general election, because as I recall, in the general election, the state of Vermont actually mailed out ballots to all eligible voters. But that's not going to happen this time, is it?
That's not happening in Brattleboro. So the state made the decision to allow towns to decide if they were going to mail ballots to all active registered voters or require voters to request their ballots. And for a variety of reasons, which I'm happy to answer questions for if people want to reach out and ask, Brattleboro decided that voters need to request their ballots.
What if, I'm sure I registered, let's say I take that position, but I really want to vote on town meeting day, but I'm not quite sure. Let's say I missed the November election. I don't know how I would have done that, but let's say I missed November and I'm not sure if I'm registered. Is there a simple way to check on that?
You can absolutely, you can check at the same site, the olvr.vermont.gov site, and it will ask you when you go there to check your status. And so you can see if you're registered to vote and if your information is correct or not.
Uh, we're coming up very close on this. How is the voting on town meeting day this year, at least in Brattleboro, going to be different from how we voted in the past on town meeting day?
So there are a couple of things that are different. Number one is if you're looking to vote in advance, if you're looking to vote early, there will not be in-person early voting in Brattleboro. The doors to the municipal center are locked to the public, so people can't be coming in and out. Again, people can request ballots for absentee, and we will mail those. In terms of voting in person, it's similar to what it looked like in August and November, in that we're putting a lot of precautions in place due to the pandemic. So when you come in, you'll be greeted by somebody who makes sure, as always, that you know what district you're in. But in addition to that, they will be squirting hand sanitizer into your hands, or offering you a fresh pair of gloves. It will also be required that you wear a mask to enter the Legion. So everybody inside will be wearing a mask. And then the floor plan is a little bit different as well. Instead of people entering and exiting out of the same door, you'll enter through the main entrance and then you'll exit out on Williston Street to avoid people crossing paths as they're going in and out. Of course, social distancing will be required.
Mhm.
So we encourage people to allot themselves ample time in case there are longer than normal wait times. We didn't see that in August or November, but you never know. And there will be fewer booths as well, again, because of social distancing.
Okay, so there will be some minor changes as far as the layout, but people are invited to still come in if they don't feel that they want to mail in the ballot. I know a lot of folks in Brattleboro, having worked at the polls before, I know that there are a lot of people who feel that in-person voting is critical to them,
Mhm.
and that's encouraged as well as mail-in. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. And I would add one other thing that um, seems to be really important to Vermont voters, that is different this time around, is the I voted sticker. Um,
I
so
don't get my sticker.
you don't, so this year we're not doing stickers. We're working really hard to reduce the number of multi-touch surfaces and materials. And so in place of the sticker, we are giving out golf pencils that say Town of Brattleboro, thank you for voting. So that's your keepsake. And that's in place of the ballot marking pen that we usually give that you give back. This you get to keep.
So uh, I guess it's a good thing in a way that it's also recycling because people can use the pencil for other things and have that
Absolutely.
reminder in hand. In reality, town meeting day for us is going to involve two separate voting experiences. And maybe you could describe a little bit about why that is and how people can anticipate what they're going to see as ballots, not just ballot.
Yeah, it's a good question, Elliot. So we have two different votes, two different elections happening on March 2nd. The first is your typical town meeting day ballot, right? You have your town officers like select board, lister, moderator, trustee of public funds. Um, I'm sure there are others that I'm forgetting. And you also have your town meeting members that you're voting on per district.
Okay,
Um,
and I understand this time around for Brattleboro, there are also some special articles.
There are, and I'll sort of give the topics that will be voted on. So there are 4 questions on the ballot. One is related to retail cannabis. One is related to amending the charter, the town charter, regarding how we amend our charter going forward. And then the other two are related to the school district. The third question on the ballot is whether or not Brattleboro voters would like to leave the unified school district. And the fourth question is whether or not Brattleboro voters would like to allow the other three towns to leave the district should their voters choose to on town meeting day. So it's a bit of a conditional question. And then the second ballot that you'll see is the Wyndham Southeast School District ballot. And that is where you will be electing school board directors. And you'll see names on the ballot from all four towns. You are allowed to vote on school board members from all four towns. You don't have to just vote for Brattleboro people. You'll also see officers, school district budget, school board compensation, and a question about formation of an individual budget review committee. When you check in, you have the choice as to whether or not you want to vote in the town meeting day ballot, the Wyndham Southeast School District ballot, or both. And you'll let your check-in attendant know that. They'll give you slips of paper to then bring to the ballot attendant, and that way the ballot attendant knows which ballots to give you. And the ballots are color-coded. So you'll see different colors depending on your district and depending on whether it's town versus school.
Okay, so it's a little more complex than maybe the way we've had things in the past, but I think it's important to emphasize that as a voter in any of the towns of the school district, you're not limited to your own town as far as the candidates for the school board. It's open to everybody because we're all basically residents of the district, and that's why it would open up.
Correct.
I'm sure there are people still be confused, but hopefully, there are ways to take care of that confusion if somebody comes in. Maybe we can spend a minute or two on that. I walk in and, wow, there's all these voting areas and tables set up. What if I get really confused?
We have a number of poll workers who have been trained on this particular election, or will be trained on this particular election, I should say. We will all have name badges. We have people at particular stations, and then we have people that are called floaters that are there just to jump in and answer questions and help out. And I, as the town clerk, am also somebody who tends to be floating around. So there are a number of people who can help answer your technical questions about the process.
Okay, which means they can't explain the items on the ballot or provide descriptions of candidates. It's just simply here's what it says, here's how you vote, but not anything in terms of detail or description. Is that
Correct. That's correct. So like, for example, we could say you are welcome to vote in the Dummerston, Putney, and Guilford school board races. That's allowed, but I can't tell you anything about the different candidates.
okay? And that's true for the town ballot as well.
Correct.
So let's kind of walk through what happens with a person who feels very uncomfortable voting indoors. I'm sure there may be people who say, I don't want to wear a mask, and that could be an immediate, no, you can't come in here, uh, as well as people who, for health reasons, may not be able to wear a mask. How is that being addressed?
So you will not be turned away. Number one, again, you can request an absentee ballot, so you don't even have to worry or deal with coming to the polls. If you choose to come to the polls or you didn't request a ballot in time, you can absolutely come to the polls, and we will have a station set up outdoors with some poll workers out there to greet you. You'll come, you'll let them know that you are not going indoors for whatever reason. They will contact a poll worker to come out to get you checked in, come outside with your ballots or ballot, depending on what you choose. You'll be given a station to vote, and then you'll put your ballot or ballots inside of an envelope. Poll worker will bring it inside, process it, and get it through the tabulator for you. Um, we have a canopy set up in case it's snowing or in the off chance that it's raining. And we will also have a patio heater set up to keep our poll workers warm, and hopefully it will keep the voters warm for the period of time that they're voting.
Okay. I want to go back to the topic of absentee voting. Uh, I, as a voter, can decide, and I'm sure you as a town clerk prefer if I vote early because it takes the congestion off the polls. But is there any tip about what I should do once I get that ballot? I've requested it either through contacting town clerk's office or I've gone to the online site. Uh, what should I be doing right away?
So ballots will be mailed out in mid-February. So you should be getting them in the next week or two, or as soon as they're requested. Once you get the ballot or ballots, I would recommend opening it. Don't let it just sit, because oftentimes it gets buried under a pile of mail and then you can't find it. So open it. If you know how you're going to vote, vote and return it. Don't let it sit for a long time. Inside of the envelope, you'll see a return envelope, a certificate envelope, some instructions, and then your ballot or ballots. Once you vote your ballot or ballots, you will put them inside of the certificate envelope. Make sure that you turn it over. There's a place for you to put your name, sign, and date it. It is required for us by law to accept your ballot and count it, for your ballot or ballots to be inside of that certificate envelope and for it to be signed by you.
Okay, so in the past, we've had situations where people, for whatever reason, didn't follow the instructions to do that. But let's make clear, you need to sign the envelope that you're going to seal with the ballot in it before you put it in the mailing envelope.
That's correct. And that's a law. It's not a decision by the town clerks. That's a law of the state. And so there are instructions that will be included. Just take your time, read the instructions. There are also instructions on the envelopes. 2 steps. Your ballots are inside of that certificate envelope. The certificate envelope is signed by you. And then I guess the 3rd step is make sure to return it. We need to have it in hand by 7 p.m. on March 2nd.
Okay. Assuming that somebody requests their ballot kind of late in the process, meaning, well, if town meeting day is March 2nd, then let's say they request it the last week of February, and you mail it out. Is there something that people should do in terms of the return of that ballot to be sure that it comes in? Because once the polls close on town meeting day, that ballot isn't going to be counted, if I'm correct.
That's correct. So what we're recommending is we have a drop box in the municipal center parking lot. If you drive in off of Grove Street, which is the only entrance into the parking lot, it will be in front of you on the left-hand side by a wooden light pole. It looks just like a post office box, but it's brown instead of blue, and it says town business on it. And as of next week, it will also say ballots here on it. You want to place your ballot in there. If you're returning it on election day, we recommend just bringing it to the polls directly to the American Legion, and where we'll have that outdoor voting station, we'll also have a bin where people can return their ballots there. So you don't even need to come indoors to return your ballot. And again, there will be poll workers stationed there. So it's not like it's just out in the open.
So there are multiple ways, basically. You can come to the polls on election day, either vote indoor or outdoor. You can request an absentee ballot, and there's no restriction in terms of, well, I'm sick or I'm out of state. Anybody can request that ballot. You can return it by mail if there's enough time, but if you're not sure it's going to get counted, you can always bring it to the town clerk's office, municipal building, and use the drop box.
Absolutely. And then Elliot, I would also say if somebody, for whatever reason, didn't request a ballot until the Friday before the election or the Monday before the election, and it's too late for us to mail it to them, they can call us and we will arrange a time to meet them out in the parking lot and get them that ballot. Nobody should feel like it's too late. I can't request an absentee ballot. You can request an absentee ballot until 5 p.m. on Monday, March 1st, and we will get it to you one way or another. If you can't come, it's recommended to request in time for us to mail it to you at least.
Okay. And assuming that I either am ill or something on, the days coming up to town meeting day have made it impossible for me to get to your office, is there a provision that is available so that I can still vote?
Yes. So if you are ill or disabled, um, you can request to have two justices of the peace bring your ballot to you at your home. Because of the pandemic, you will need to meet the justice of the peace outdoors. They will need to, if you need help, they can help you with your ballot, or they can stand far enough away to be able to see you voting without seeing how you're voting. And then you'll put it in the envelope and they will bring it back to the town clerk's office for you. But again, you need to be able to get outside. They can't come inside for that.
Okay. So let's kind of wrap it up by saying town meeting day is pretty close and we're looking at March 2nd. Polls are open from when to when?
7 a.m. to 7 p.m. on March 2nd in Brattleboro.
And registering to vote, if I'm not registered currently, I can do it online.
You can register to vote online. Absolutely.
Okay. And I can contact either the state or the town clerk, depending on my town.
I would say your town clerk contacting the state, they'll direct you to the town clerk.
Okay. And I can register on the day of town meeting day. So multiple ways. So my excuses for not voting are kind of drifting away here. Uh, and as far as questions, I've been watching this stuff in the newspaper and I've watched this program. What should I do if I have questions?
Give your town clerk a call or shoot your town clerk an email. That's what we're here for.
Okay. Well, any final word of advice or suggestion that you want to make?
Yeah, so a couple of things. Starting probably the week of or February 10th, thereabouts, sample ballots will be posted to the website. So if you're interested in seeing who's on your ballot and what the exact language of the questions are, that should be posted to the brattleboro.org website under How May We Help You Elections. And additionally, to request an absentee ballot, you can certainly give us a call or shoot us an email. The quickest way to do it is to go to your My Voter page, which is MVP as in myvoterpage.vermont.org or .gov. And Vermont is spelled out as well. And I had one other thought and it's gone.
Okay. Well, thank you for taking the time to meet with me today. And, we think we've covered a lot of information. And I urge those viewers who have questions again to contact your town clerk and clear up any questions before town meeting day. Thank you.
Thank you.